What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Sounds of Talk podcast. We brought back a heavy hitter guest back to the episode because we feel like what's going on in the world, it's time to pump people back up again, to go even harder for the gospel.
Amen.
And bringing Jesus to the world, and even setting up, we're just talking about different things that are going on, and I think this is going to be a good episode. But we have Mike Schipper back with us, Judge Schipper. I know you don't want me to say that.
It's Mike.
Yeah, it's Mike. But the thing that's going on right now is we're in your house because we had to come to you. Because
Why is that, Mike? What happened?
Yeah, not much of a heavy hitter. I'm not feeling like a heavy hitter today. I was messing around with a 1-year-old granddaughter and missed a step and broke my foot, and I've got pins in it now.
And you should see these things. They're like claws out of the bottom of his feet.
Man, it's crazy though that like we get to a certain age, we're just going down steps, we can break our foot.
Yeah, I need a better story.
Yeah, and you said so you got pins hanging out of your feet. I've had this happen with my finger, so I broke my finger playing flag football, of all things. And I had 3 pins sticking out of my finger. And so once it's all good to go and stuff, they just yank those things out.
I know.
And so that's coming for you.
I know. My wife, when she said that, my wife said, "That's going to hurt." And I said, "Be quiet.
Yeah.
I don't need to know that now. Let it happen when it happens."
Negative Nancy.
Yeah, you just want to like know when it's happening, and then it's over by the time you even think about it.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it for a month.
Well, I'm glad we could work it out, and we could be here and get you on anyways. And it don't stop.
No,
even
no.
with one foot. And so he sends Dustin and I a text message with a little picture, and it was you sitting at church during worship, and it was a little video. And basically you said, because you only get 1 hour. This is what the doctor said. You only get 1 hour with your foot down. Otherwise, the other 23 hours, you have to have it up.
She said
elevated.
23 hours a day, my foot at eye level or higher.
Yeah.
And I told my wife, if I get 1 hour free, I'm going to church.
Yeah.
And my wife let me escape for an hour.
That's cool. Yeah. So that just shows your mentality, and we appreciate it. And we appreciate your mentorship too, since we've been doing this. So
We thought we'd get into a little bit of what you do, as a judge. And we talked about some of the stories that you had in the past and how God is moving in your courtroom, really, and how you've seen him move. And one of my first questions to you is, the Bible talks about justice and mercy a lot in the Bible. During your sentencings, during your these hard trials that you go through and see, how do you carry that with you, with your sentencing and judging people?
Yeah, I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
I talk about it all the time at home with my wife and stuff because I do really care. It's like with your kids, when you punish them, right? There has to be a punishment, but you have to balance that with grace and with mercy. And I see it the exact same way, because there may not be my child in front of you, but there's somebody's kid, right? There's somebody's family member. So I struggle with that. I really do. I think a lot about it, and I talk about it, and I tell people when I'm sentencing them that, please don't let me down. I'm giving you some grace here. I'm going out on a limb. The officer involved or the prosecutor want you to do more time than I'm giving you.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And sometimes I actually had a guy a few months ago who I thought, you know what? I don't think his sentence was unfair. I gave him 60 days, multiple time drunk driver, and he had kids in the car. But just got the feel that maybe some grace might be more powerful. And God kept talking to me about that. So I kept reading the Bible about that, the power. So I called him back into court after 30 days in jail. And I told him that. I said, you know what? And he was a guy who had a faith. We had talked about it in court. I knew he was a Christian guy. And I just said, I think sometimes grace might have more power. You've got some punishment under your belt. I'm hoping that maybe grace will give you, will have more weight with you. And his wife and him broke into tears and stuff. And I'm hoping that that grace impacts him as much or more than the punishment.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you say, you talked about it. Are you able to bring this, like, I guess I don't know this, as a judge, are you able to talk about your faith and Christianity? You hear teachers talk about, well, I can't talk about this in school, or I can't. Can you do this in a courtroom?
Dustin, everybody can. I hear it all the time. And a great question. Listen, I'm going to tell everybody out there right now, you can, 100%. Don't let anybody tell you can't. The Constitution, the most important Amendment to the Constitution, the first one says free speech.
Yeah.
First. The separation of church and state, that does not exist in the Constitution. It does not exist. All that says is our federal government cannot establish a religion that we must follow. That's all it says. So when people say separation of church and state, just shut up.
Yeah.
No, that's not applicable. Everybody can. Teachers can go to school and talk about God just like they can talk about chess or sports or anything else. Now, they can't go in their classroom and start preaching a sermon.
Right.
They can talk as much as they want. They can wear cross necklaces. If a kid asks them, they can talk. Everybody can.
Yeah.
So that excuse is gone. That does not exist. And I can do it in my courtroom. Just like I can put "In God We Trust," paint it on the wall, and I did. And I do. And I don't force it down anybody. I frequently would just say, I'll pray for you.
Yeah.
Or somebody will talk about, I did this because I was under a lot of stress because my mom's dying or this or that. And I'll tell them, I'll say, wow, that's tough. Can I pray for you? I did the other day. I said to a guy, his mom was dying in a hospital in Kalamazoo. Her name was Della. And I said, can I pray for her? And he said, that'd be great. I said, can I know her name? So he really knew I really was going to do it, right?
Yeah.
So he told me her name. He goes, do you really want to know? I said, yeah, I want to know. So we talked. I ran into him in the parking lot a couple of days later, and I was on one of those knee scooters. And
You see this hot rod
I
sitting
know,
here.
exactly. And he came up to me in the parking lot. He said, hey, Judge, thank you. And he goes, I'm praying for you too.
That's awesome.
There's no reason
That's
I
cool.
can't say that.
Yeah.
There's no reason I can't. And what I find is the more that I do, the more attorneys, the more people in court hear it, then they're more free to talk about it too. I've never had anybody, when I said, hey, can I pray for you? I've never anybody say, no, I don't want you to pray. I've never had that. They may not have a faith, but that's not an offensive thing to say. It's a thoughtful thing to say to somebody.
Do you ever get an attorney or a prosecutor or someone that uses that against you at all?
Never. In fact, sometimes I think it's probably the other.
Yeah,
I get defense attorneys that probably tell their clients, if you tell
use
the
the
judge,
God card, yeah.
use the guy. If you tell the judge you found God in jail.
Yeah.
So occasionally I get that feeling, and that's okay. And I've told a couple guys who were really bad actors who I sent to prison, the beautiful thing is he's in prison and you're going to have a lot of time to get to know him.
Amen. A lot of people find God in prison.
You know what? At man camp, I had in my small group, I had a guy who really was struggling with, his past and his criminal past, and he had multiple drunk drive-ins. He has no license, and he won't get it back for a while. But he had some really cool God stories about how, he's really been turning to God and turning that corner, and how much grace he had in the court process and stuff. And it was kind of funny because when I was telling the story, someone asked me, was it Judge Schipper that they had? Thinking
They did ask that?
he gave him grace, of course, because it's Judge Schipper. But it wasn't, and so it was kind of cool to see how God is moving, and it's not necessarily, you have God in you, but like He's in charge of the grand scheme of things, and He's working, and
He
it's
wants
everywhere.
to. He wants so bad. And I get it's uncomfortable to sometimes, especially if none of your coworkers talk about God ever, or things like that. It is. I get it's hard. It was harder for me at first too. And now it's easier and easier. And I think the more you do it, the easier it gets for you. And then you'll just see people light up and things come out of people that they've been hiding and that you've never seen before. But bottom line is, we're asked to do three things in the Bible. Really, three things. Love God, love people, go make disciples, go tell the world about me. At the core, those are the three things we have to do.
The Great Commission and the Great Commandments.
Yeah, we have.
I got it open right here. It's Matthew 28:19. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. And surely I'm with you always to the very end of the age.
We're required to do it. We don't have a choice. We do not have a choice. And what are you going to say? Because God could come tomorrow. Some people thought He was going to come last week on the 23rd.
Yeah.
Right?
Like somebody knows that day.
I know.
Yeah.
But He could. And what are you going to say? Well, I'm a little shy.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to fly. No. I just don't think it's going to fly.
No.
Well, I didn't get the chance. Listen, put a sticky note on somebody in your office. They're struggling. Somebody's got sick in their family. Put a sticky note and say, hey, thinking about you, praying for you. That's all it is. That's all it is. You are planting the seed. You are letting people know. Somebody said the other day, Mike, I think this is the best test possible. have somebody go up to a coworker of yours and say, tell me about Dustin. And if in that description, they never once say that you're a Christian, you're not speaking up enough.
That's good.
Because they might say, oh, listen, great guy. I know he's a great dad, loves his kids, loves sports or loves cars. They might go through, but at some point they need to mention that, because if they don't, you're missing the boat.
You're not going hard enough.
No, you need to step your game up.
That's good.
That's good. I got a question for you. So I've had this happen early on in my career where I've given grace and I've gotten burned.
Yeah.
Have you gotten burned? And then also, how have you dealt with that so that it doesn't affect you in the future?
That's the tougher part. Yes, I give grace frequently. Somebody will say, listen, I'm going to give them a week in jail, and it's on a Wednesday sentencing, and they'll say, hey, can I please show up on Friday? Because I got some kids I need to take care of, or some animals, or I need to wrap up my job, and I'll show up Friday at 5:00, I promise. And I have that happen on a regular basis. And most of the time they show up, but occasionally they don't. And the first time it happened, I got kind of ticked, and I thought, well, then I'm just never going to let it happen. And I thought, no, I can't do that. I can't punish everybody else for one person's mistake. If I believe it's the right decision, I mean, this is not a murder who I'm letting show up on a Friday night, right?
Right. Yeah.
But that's the tougher one, to not get jaded, to not, because people lie to me on a regular basis in court. They just do. They're scared. I can't believe everybody's a liar. If I get to that point, I need to quit my job and find another one.
Amen.
So I just keep believing, and I'll tell people in court, you know what? I'm going to believe you. I'm going to believe you until you give me a reason not to. Please don't burn me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think a word matters. So
It does.
I'm still a word. I'll have people come up. I had somebody come up last week, and I shook their hand. I said, give me your word. A guy came up. I said, let's shake on it. I like giving grace. I just really do. I like it. And most times it works, and people will come back and say, thanks. Thanks for letting me get out of jail for that day to go to the funeral. And I'll tell them, thank you so much for coming back.
Yeah.
Because now you set it up for the next person.
Yep.
You know?
That's good.
It's good.
Let's talk about anger, man. So recently, just yesterday, right? The thing that went down in Grand Blanc in Michigan, the guy running his vehicle into a church, shooting up the church, starting on fire, multiple people, kids passing away, with Charlie Kirk, all the stuff that's happening, all this violence that you see over and over, and it's just repetitive, and it's just on the news all the time, just stirring this up. I feel like getting people angry almost. You said earlier something that kind of gave me some conviction, honestly, about anger, because I hold my stuff in, boy. I mean, I'll hold it right in here, and it'll come out at the worst times, obviously, but I hold it in. But you said something about getting it out, man, and it's not good. The devil wants that in you to stay in you. Oh, and you said something. Tell a little bit about that. Like, you don't have to go into trial, but like that scenario that you were telling us about.
Yeah, and interesting. But I haven't told my wife that I did this. Because it's just something I did for me. And so I had a really, really difficult sentencing a couple of weeks ago where someone had murdered somebody. And so I had to listen to that, which is just yuck and ugly. Yeah. So I'm leaving at about 3:00, and I get in my car, and the first thing I hear when I turn on the radio is the Charlie Kirk thing. And I shut it off immediately. I texted my family. I said, I just heard, please leave me alone for the night, because I get angry and I'm a fighter. Yeah. And my whole, I'm like, okay, payback. Yeah. I mean, that's my instinct, because I'm a fighter. So I got up the next morning, was going to work, stopped at Walmart, got some things, went through the self-checkout, and I'm checking out, and I'm going to my car, and something's nudging me saying, pay for somebody's food. Pay for somebody's food. And I'm like, no, I'm already done. I'm going. So I went to work. The whole day it was in my mind. And I'm like, this has got to be God telling me. Mm-hmm. And then he put on my heart, listen, I got to break you. It's like Pastor Jeff when he talks about when you have bad thoughts, use the 3 I's, identify the thought, interrupt the thought, and then invade it with something positive. Mm-hmm. I needed to identify, which I did, the anger, and I needed to find a way to interrupt it and invade it with something positive.
That's so good.
So God said, go back to Walmart and pay for people's food. And I'm like, oh, that's so awkward. I've done it if somebody's right in front of me.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go back to Walmart, not even buy anything.
And make it awkward.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't want to do it the whole way there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it driving in the parking lot. But I got out and I walked in the self-checkout lane and I ended up paying for a couple people's food. And I just told them, the first lady, I said, may I please? And you could tell she could afford her food. And she said, no, you don't have to do that. And I said, please let me for me. I said, I had a crappy day yesterday and I need this for me. Please allow me to do this for me. And she said, okay. So I did. And then the next guy just said, listen, I'm really blessed and this would really help me out, make me. And then I scurried out of there and it was weird. It was weird. And I told my daughter, because I did tell her, and I said, Lex, your dad is weird. She goes, you've always been weird, but I love the weird you are. But it helped me because God was saying, to get this out of you, you need to serve. You need to do something positive to make your heart feel better about it and break that anger that was in me. And it did help. It helped. It helped.
It's an outlet. I mean, it's an outlet, and everybody, when they have those emotions, sadness, anger, what it is, you're gonna express it in one way or another.
Yeah.
It's having that outlet, but I've never thought of it honestly in that way of like doing it, serving somebody. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Go serve somebody.
That's awesome.
Well, it makes sense because I find when the best way to combat the fleshly feelings that we get, whether it's anger, even anxiety, depression, fear, these things that we feel, is to go out and be Jesus to people.
Right.
Yeah.
And just serve or like pray for somebody, hold a door for somebody, smile at somebody, act it out, go out and be Jesus. And it blesses you, man. Like, and you don't know it until you do it. And I really notice it when I don't do it. That's when I have the trouble, controlling those emotions, and I build up, like you said.
But don't you feel like it spirals? Like
yeah.
You have a bad day or a bad moment. You get in your car. Now you're driving the road. The guys are driving slow in front of you. You're like, come on, man, run. Let's go. And it's like, it just spirals.
And it kind of goes into the same. So Brian Moat yesterday for our service at one church, he was talking about this idea of gas station worship. And what I mean by that, you were like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I'm like, gas station worship.
He was just talking about like, if you're waiting for Sunday to go and spend time with God, you're selling yourself short. You're not showing God like that you really care in a way, because he talked about Valentine's Day for one. Yeah. Like us as guys, we all know it's coming, right? And when it gets close, whether it's Valentine's Day or an anniversary or something, we wait till the last minute. We get busy or whatever. Next thing you know, oh crap, it's tomorrow. Or sometimes on the day of, I can catch it on the way home from work. And then you stop at a gas station and you grab like, hopefully there's a Rose or something, and you grab that in your 5-hour energy and you're like, here, I love you, and that's what you give. Right. And so if you're not like committing yourself to spending time, he attributed it to like your gift. Like let's say you build something that takes 6 months for that gift, and you spent time with it, and you really showed that like you had to research it. You didn't know how to do it, and you put time into it, and you built this thing, and it might look crappy, but your wife's going to look at that and cherish that thing because of the time you put into it.
Yeah.
And so he was kind of using that as an analogy of, if you don't spend any time with God, if you're not in your word every day, you're not talking to him, you're not spending that relationship, and then you get to Sunday expecting to have this move of God and have him wash over you and all this stuff, you're giving him your gas station worship.
Yeah, that's good.
And it was convicting to me because I had a week of busyness and missed, I really felt like I missed that time like I usually have.
Yeah.
And I felt like I'm in the middle of gas station worship because I'm like, I'm not feeling you, man. And I'm trying to praise through it and like I have stuff going on in my head and blockers. We have that every once in a while. And I'm like, man, this is so convicting to me right now.
Yeah.
And I got a couple of things on that. Like, just hearing that, you shouldn't wait till Valentine's to love your wife.
Yeah.
That is something we do every day. We are called to do that as men every day, love our wives every single day. That should be that's a hard moment for me, because like, what do you do? Because you're supposed to that should be every day thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that should be the way we love God.
Yeah.
We should go after God in that same aspect. And my faith did not grow until I got in community with other people and joined up with fellow Christians that pushed me. I pushed them, discipling each other. I didn't grow. My faith didn't soar until I got in that moment. You cannot do it by yourself. You need others in that aspect.
No, listen, if he really is number one, he ought to get your number one effort.
Yeah.
Not your fourth or fifth.
Yes.
It's like we talked about before. If you really want to see where your heart lays, look at your Visa bill. Where are you spending your money? Is it on stuff?
Amazon?
Well, where do you spend your time? I mean, I think as guys, I just talked about this with my brother. I think as guys, we think our job's to provide. Look at what I do, Mike. We have a nice house, and we have cars, and we have this, and we have that. Your kids need you. Your kids need your time more than work does.
Yeah.
Because if you're not there providing that for your kids, your love and your attention, they're going to get raised by something else.
They'll find it
the
somewhere.
Phone, the social media, the gaming, the something else. We got to get our priorities straight as guys. And the same with, if God is really number one, oh man, we're all missing it because we're all not doing enough. But man, we got to start doing more.
And men need to step up.
Big time.
Men do big time.
Big time.
So today I met with a guy at our church, and he's going to start teaching this class, and it's called the Conquer series, and it's to help people break the addiction of pornography in their life. And he was telling me just about his addiction and how he's had to replace it, with daily devotionals and Bible time. And he actually showed me his phone, and he goes, right here. I mean, this is what I used for my sinning right here. He's holding his phone.
Yeah.
And he goes, right here on the front page, Bible right here. And I got this app that I do daily devotionals with. I'm doing a Bible in a year plan. And he's just showing me how he's set up his phone now to where he's put these things in place because he was using that, like you said, for other things that were distracting him from God. And it was just cool to see the emotion in him too, as he spoke about it, and just how he's now using that to teach a class. And this is going to be his first one that he's doing.
That's
but
good.
he was showing me how the Holy Spirit has worked in it. He's gone through the class 3 times, but how he's pushed him into a leadership role now to go and help other people.
When we talk about it all the time, power your testimony. There's his testimony right there. Now you use that to go help others.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah, because he can do it so much better than somebody that doesn't have that problem. Like when I have people in my court and they turn, Colin and other people that have had addictions, they're way more powerful than I am because they can talk to those people at their level. They've been there. I can tell you what to do from what I've seen, but it's not the same. It's not the same. That guy has, first of all, talk about how difficult that has to be. Because there are some things that, now it's easier to say, I struggle with alcohol because that's pretty common now.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But to come out and say, I struggle with pornography.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I've been there, man.
That's a hard one. That's a really hard one,
Yeah.
man. The other day when that guy spoke at one church about that, my wife was like, man, kudos to him.
Yeah, so he's a really great friend of mine, and we have him scheduled to come on the podcast.
Kudos to him because that's a tough, all those things are so tough, but people have to be able to do that, and men have to do that. Men have to understand we make mistakes, and the bigger mistake is not to let our family know that we're imperfect and not to let our family see that we can work through that imperfection, because it's going to be hard when your kids make mistakes. If you've never admitted making a mistake, how are they going to come to you and open up? Because they're going to feel like failures.
For sure.
If they know, what, Dad's not perfect either. And Dad's going to love me right through this because he'll understand. And that's the value in letting your family know. But it's hard because we all want to be Superman. We all want our kids to look up and like we're flawless.
See all the good things,
and
in
it's
you.
just not true.
It isn't, man. It isn't. We're all broken, and the thing with porn is that's a little bit different than I think than drugs and stuff like that. Is porn is not illegal. You know what I mean? So it's our culture has pushed everything towards that, and as young boys and young men growing up, it's so easily accessible at your phone, like you were just saying. At anywhere, man. It's on the TVs if you look, the skimpy outfits, all that stuff, man. So it's just so available to all of our kids, man.
And you convince yourself that I'm not hurting anybody. I'm still got
100%.
I still love my girlfriend or my wife or whatever. it's just eroding. It's tearing.
But I'll tell you this: when I finally broke that though, and like got rid of that stuff out of my life, like the disgust for it now is unreal. Mm-hmm. Like it's a weird thing because I don't even I do know. I mean, it's God obviously, but like just I wish I'd have had that disgust a lot earlier in life. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's real, and God will change your desires. That's why I say, I have to be careful sometimes because I don't want people to think when I say that because they're still dealing with a sin or a struggle, that there's something wrong with them.
No.
But there is a process of sanctification, and God can and will, he can free you from those things, but that's why you do need to have people around you to hold you accountable. And that's why you do need to put boundaries in place, because repenting is not just stopping doing what you're doing. It's stopping and turning away from.
Going the other direction.
So you got to do something different. Like, it's not just, I'm just going to stop doing that. No, you got to change things. You got to change your direction.
You replace it with something good.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. It's good. So you told another story, we talk about how like you're able to bring God into the courtroom, but is there some instances, and I have one story that you told us in particular that I hope you grab onto here, of where you've been blessed by something that's happened, not necessarily like you involving God in the situation, but how a family has blessed you, through the court process?
Well, there's a couple. Are you talking about where I didn't want a person involved, or the one where?
The one I'm thinking of is the forgiveness one.
Oh, the Amish?
Yes.
Yeah. That was crazy because we all talk about forgiveness, right? But when you see it enacted in something really difficult, I'm telling you, there was a young girl who had come over the crest of a hill and she hit an Amish buggy and she killed a father and one of the two sons in the family. He was 11 or 14. And they're dead right in the road there. And the young lady had some chemicals in her system, not a lot, but she did. So she got charged with a 15-year felony for that. And it was, again, an Amish family. Well, at the sentencing, I learned that a day or two after that, the mother, whose husband and son were killed, took a couple of her Amish women friends and went to this young girl's house. And I said, why? And they said, because we knew this was going to be difficult for her. So instead of thinking of your own pain, just a day or two later, in the midst of that horrible pain, she was thinking about somebody else. And they went to her house and they told her, we forgive you. And they prayed with her and they sang some old psalms, some old hymns with her.
Unreal.
And then they invited her to come to the funeral and come and love her. And I was in tears. I was having to fight it even now because I thought I couldn't do that. If that happened to one of my kids, my wife, somebody was killed by somebody like that, I'd be angry at first. I'd be really angry. And there may come a point where I would have some understanding and some empathy for this other person. But man, it would not be a day or two later.
Yeah.
It was just amazing how she practiced that forgiveness that we're told we have to do. If we don't do it, we don't get forgiven. You have to do it. But man, it was just so powerful.
Yeah. See, I have those thoughts too when I hear these stories of like, could I do that? And the only thing that I can hold on to is think about the mentorship and stuff that I have in my life that I would have to lean on, like whether it's Pastor Jeff or I would need some heavy mentorship because that would be tough.
Well, you said she went to the house with a couple gals.
Yeah.
So that's probably what that was.
Yeah. And the fact that she said that, if it ever, I hope never have to deal with that in my life, ever, ever, ever. But the fact that happened is now in my head. So if something did happen, I hope I would flash back to that and remember, they did this. It's the right thing. It's the right thing. I actually have that actual example that I can bounce to that maybe would help me quicker get to that point.
And that's why it's so important to share your testimonies and stuff, because you have your own, And if anyone's like me, I can't remember half the things that happened in my life, but having constant like reminders from other people's testimony and seeing God work in multiple things, not just your own life, but other people's lives and these crazy stories, like those plant seeds, so, they help you when you get to the point, God forbid, you're dealing with a similar situation. And so that's why we can't be silent about what God's doing in our life. And that's why it's so important to get out there and be vulnerable and share our stories, because they're powerful. They really are.
Right. Well, that's why I was hesitant. Like I said, when I went back to Walmart, I didn't even tell my wife. She'll learn it on the podcast, or maybe I'll tell her tonight, because I'm really working at not letting my left hand know what my right hand does.
Yeah.
I'm really working at doing good things and not needing a pat on the back. Yeah, because that's so much part of who we are.
It feels so good.
Yeah, it does. And it's like when you open a door and you want to thank you and you don't get it, and you get
like, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and I'm really working at that hard at not doing that. That's why I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And the only reason I said it to you guys was because maybe that example will help somebody when they're feeling angry or hurt or something, to think, I need to serve somebody. I need to serve somebody. I need to do something really positive to break this negative thought.
I told you, it gave me conviction. So that's why I wanted to bring it up.
It is a balance though, with telling your testimony and not being boastful about it and not wanting any recognition for it.
Yeah.
But you're using it for the right of God's kingdom, right? You're expressing this to hopefully someone latches onto that and they're like, oh man, I can use that. Because I guarantee there's so many people out there with anger right now with the situations that are going on.
And we can't, because that anger, that's what the devil wants. That's exactly what he wants. He wants us to be angry. He wants us to be vengeful. He wants us to think that way. And that is my instinct, because I am a fighter. But that's not the right instinct. That's not what Jesus taught. And so I have to find a way to pull back, and it's not always easy.
As a matter of fact, it's usually hard.
It is hard.
Yeah,
it's real
usually
hard.
because it's the opposite of what we ever want to do. So.
Right.
Yeah, that's good, man. I struggle with that though, because one of my biggest, I guess, sins in my life that I always am going to deal with is pride, and how do you keep from having pride creep back in? And you gotta balance that stuff with having a podcast and telling stories. And
you got to kill it daily, dude.
Yeah.
It's so hard. That's the hardest for me. Think about, first of all, I've always been a pretty confident guy, and I've been successful at lots of things. But I knew when I became a judge, that's why I put a little sticker right before I walk out of my office into the courtroom. It's WWJD. And I pray about that every day. Mm-hmm. Arrogance, pride. I'm not all that. I'm not all that. You're not, because when you're a judge, everybody says yes to you.
Yeah.
And everybody whoa, it's so easy to start. I'll come home, my wife will say, hey, you're not the judge here, pal. Yeah. Oh yeah, she reminds me. No, your stuff stinks here. You want
to know what's funny is, so Sean and I were having a conversation today about something, and she goes, "You sure you're not dealing with what I deal with, where you want approval from people?" And I just sat there. I'm like, well, I deal with pride all the time. You know that. I'm trying to work on it. And it's just funny, man. But it's good to have wives like that are able to call you out, because you need those reminders. And sometimes we think, our intentions about ourselves are always great, right? Like I meant good intentions here, but you really have to be honest with yourself. And the best way for me is I just pray about it, and I spend some time with God, and He will let me know if I am or not. He will. But you have to be honest with yourself, because it's easy as a human being to, allow it to no, it's because of this.
Oh, we justify.
You justify
all the time. Yeah. All the time, find a justification.
My last thought going into the judge aspect is we have a judge that's ahead of us, and He's given us a second chance every day. And I don't know about you guys, but man, I'm so thankful that every day I get that chance to prove it right and not wrong. So in that aspect, how do you judge giving that second chance, knowing that every day you get that second chance, if that makes sense?
It does. And it's a little different. I'm not giving people a second chance at heaven, at forgiveness.
No, that is true.
That's the ultimate. I'm not that kind of judge. I mean, that's the ultimate. But I do think about that. But
it affects people's lives majorly.
Though. It does. In which, I think if you asked when I started being a judge, I thought I'd be tougher than I am. I think I talk tough, but my sentencings are less tough than most judges. Because I so want to give people second chances, because I know how many second chances I've been given. Amen. Man, I am not perfect. I was not a perfect kid growing up. And I had people all the time that gave me second chances. And I want those people in front of me. Listen, I don't deal with criminals. Most of the people I deal with, I've told you this, most of the 95% of the people I deal with are people that are struggling with something. They're not criminals. It's like your kids. When your kids make a mistake, you tell them you did a bad thing, not you're a bad
choices,
kid. Not you're a bad. It's the same way. I want so bad for these people in front of me. Some of them have just no hope. No hope. I want them to know I care. I really do. You can be better. There's something out there for you. And when I get the chance, that something might be church. And we get people to show up, and that's so cool. And I love the fact that we have so many churches in Berry County that I think are solid. And we have some that are really good for first timers. I think TVC, I think One Church. There's churches like that, man, you can walk in with tattoos and people will accept you immediately. I love that. But that's what I want them to know. No. Listen, you messed up here. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
This is a mistake. We're good. Let's go today. And I tell them, I think guilt is valuable for about 5 minutes because it means you have a conscience. Okay. True. I have guilt for about 5 minutes. Let it go and move on. Because if you beat yourself up, you're never going to get past it.
Yeah.
So I do think about that because I think about the fact that I get grace all the time. I got grace in high school when I went to a basketball coach when I was a sophomore. My dad drove me to his house and said, "You need to be honest." And I said, "I drank at that party." And I thought he was going to kick me off the team for sure. And he said, "This conversation never took place." We talked about it. And he said, "You promise me you'll never do that again?" And I said, "You have my word." And he's like a second dad to me now. He gave me grace. He gave me grace. I want to give people grace all the time because I believe in people. I still love and believe in people.
That's good. And I don't know if you might know the judge's name. He actually passed away recently, I believe. He was on television. He's like an Italian looking judge, man. And he people would come in his courtroom and they'd have the parking stuff going on, a lot of money they owed or something. And he would ask him, honestly, like, hey,
personal questions and stuff.
Yeah, what's going on? Are you going to be able to pay this or whatever? And he'd end up paying it for him or getting him out of situations. You know what I mean?
And
Give it grace.
We can't do that. I've done a couple things. They tell me I break more rules than most judges, but if it's a good thing to do. So, I've done some things like that, or I've had my wife do it because she can do it. I can't control my wife, right? Yeah. But I want to do that all the time.
Well, once you feel that grace and that love from Jesus, man, and you get that, you want to pass that off.
100%. I'm like, I am so blessed and so lucky. This poor grow up nothing farm kid. And I have every night I go to bed, the first thing I ever say when I go to bed is, "Thanks for all you've given me, way more than I deserve, a million times more than I deserve." And that's why I say yes. And I'm Mr. Yes. And I will be Mr. Yes till the day I die because we can never give back more than we're given. And that's why we have to say yes, 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 all the time. If you get a positive nudge, say yes. Say yes. Say yes to people. Say yes to that person in front of you. Give them grace. Why not?
Yeah.
Okay, so it burned you one time here or there. Though they lied to you one time. Okay.
How many times you burn God or burn Jesus?
Well, it's okay.
You know what I mean?
I still did the right thing. I did the right thing. God wants me to love you and give you a chance. And what you do with it is up to you.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get jaded by that. I'm not going to start not trusting people and never giving chances or giving. I'm not going to do it. The minute I get to that point, when my heart gets that cold, man, throw me out.
Yeah.
I'll find something else to do.
Yeah. The one thing that I really liked about our previous conversations with you is you said you actually pray about it and you ask God. And because especially in your position, you can get to the point where you think, I'm smart and I'm just making right decisions. I'm being graceful. I'm doing this.
That's called pride.
Yeah. Because some people would argue, some people need the consequence, and that's the most loving thing. You know what I mean? And so it is important to talk to God about those things.
And that's true. We have to punish our kids too.
Yep.
And as a good parent, we have to do that. Sometimes you have to do that. And I get that. But it's tough. My wife will many times say, I'll be sitting here late at night thinking, talking. She'll be like, do you think most judges bring this home and do this? I said, I hope so. I don't know, but I hope so.
And I would think so.
But she's like, you talk about, you really struggle with this stuff. And I'm like, because it's important.
Yeah.
This time I give somebody in jail could affect their job, could affect their rent, could affect whether they get evicted, could affect, I understand that. So I do. I pray about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be a fool not to. If I believe in God, who else am I going to go to?
Right.
The ultimate source. Please come on. Please help me. Please help me make the right decision here.
Yep. And then you just got to trust it and send it.
Yeah.
I like that. Send it.
Send it.
Just pray about it. Send it.
That's the topic of the podcast.
That sounds like a t-shirt. Yeah. Pray about it, then send it.
Well, dude, I tell you, I love you, gentlemen. I appreciate both of you. Would you be willing to pray us out?
Sure.
Mike?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Dear Lord, again, thank you for these great young men who they say I mentor them, but I think it's the other way. They motivate me. I listen to their podcasts. They get me motivated to be a better person. They're doing what you've asked them to do. They've said yes, even though this takes a lot of time and effort and you're putting yourself out there. So please touch some people today that listen to this and encourage them to say yes, encourage them to give grace, encourage them to take those anger feelings and turn those into positive feelings. Amen.
Amen.